Hello everyone, this is Ryan from MyListing Club. Today we're going to be optimizing a MyListing website using the Perfmatters plugin. It's going to be an unrehearsed, unscripted optimization done in this video. So just bear with me. We might run into some hiccups along the way, but hopefully we can show you guys a ton of value in this video on what can be done with Perfmatters. A bit of housekeeping before I start. We have a Perfmatters guide within the club. It is for paying members. It is very comprehensive. Try to keep it updated as much as possible. It's got a few updates to be done to it. We should be possibly doing that after this video is done. So you see, very comprehensive. Not going to go through the whole thing here. Just wanted to show you that it's available. Also, under our deals, we've got a 30% off for Perfmatters, which is already a very inexpensive plugin. So with this discount, I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer already, but it's definitely a no-brainer now, in my opinion. So grab those up. We'll close this here. Today we're going to be optimizing the buddyplayer.com MyListing site. We did a post in our Facebook group today, basically first person to respond that has a slow website, willing to do X, Y, Z as far as let us show the public your site and what we're doing to it. David was the first to get back to us, so he won the gig. One of the stipulations was that your site was pretty slow, really slow. His is not really slow, at least not on the homepage from my test. But we know David, have a good relationship with David, so still felt like it was worthwhile to help him out here for sure. So we wanted to do that. So thanks, David, for that. Let's take a look at the back end, the plugins. One thing you notice if you were looking back here, there's no backup plugin, and that's because this user is on Kinsta, which we highly recommend. Very first thing we did here before we did any work, we jumped into Kinsta, created a backup. It takes 3 seconds to do that with Kinsta, so we knocked that down. Next thing we want to do is you want to jump over to GTmetrix or your performance optimization testing tool of choice. This is our preference. If you create a free account with them, you can choose where you test from, which server location. This is really important if you have a local directory that serves a region. If you're serving the whole world, this becomes less important because you should have a CDN in place anyway, and theoretically any place you test from should have similar results. Buddyplayer.com serves the UK, so that is where we ran our tests from. We ran 3 tests back to back in GTmetrix. What that does is allows your caching to kick in, whether it's the CDN, whether it's Kinsta, or your server host, or your plugin like WP Rocket, so on and so forth. You just want that caching to kick in so you've got a true baseline of what's going on. Looking at our results here, scores don't mean anything other than a brief indication of what might be going on. I've seen websites with an E or an F that are blazing fast. I've also seen websites that are have A's, 99%, 100%, whatever, that aren't as fast. So you just really want to ignore these scores, basically. What we really want to look at is the waterfall tab and the timings tab. Looking at the timings tab, the time to first byte is pretty much a 100% server metric. That's saying how fast your server responds to your users. This should be approximately 300 milliseconds or below. So Kinsta's bringing this in at 176 milliseconds, so that's awesome. Next thing here is the DOM loaded. That's essentially all the client that the user needs to see is loaded in under 2 seconds. Google wants to see that at 3 seconds or below. So this is really good. Kinsta's doing an awesome job here. So that's good stuff. Looking at our waterfall, this very top line is the domain, the root domain. You'll see that the 180 milliseconds essentially matches this. That's the same thing. This is the time to first byte, this very first line. Scrolling down through the waterfall, you don't want any long times. This is a long time right here. This is a long wait time, this purple. 1.17 seconds for this particular CSS to load. And this one's a potential problem, this is a potential problem. Scrolling on down, the rest looks pretty good. No major issues. These longer times are fine. Over here, these are long, these are long, these are long, these are really long. These are fine. That you just want them to appear towards the middle half to the bottom of your waterfall. Close to the bottom as possible, but as long as it's like in the middle, bottom middle part, don't worry about it too much, because that's what you want. You want those scripts and stuff to load after the content. So no problems there. So we got our baseline. Before we move on, also the page size. This is the home page. We want the home page to be 1.5 megabits or lower. You really want it to be homepage to be lean and mean, fast, get people where they're going, not a lot of bells and whistles, clear call to action. Keep this page light, make that first experience, that first impression awesome. Requests, we want to see this down around, I would say 80 if you can, or below. These are the external requests made to domains like, as we see here, ShortPixel, Cloudflare, Google, YouTube. And you just scroll down here and you can see all the external domains, Google Maps, APIs, and so on and forth, chimp static. You can also sort by domain here if you want to sit in alphabetical order or what's what. Okay, so we've got our baseline. Now what we want to do is we want to create and duplicate this tab. That way we can keep this baseline tab to always refer back to and see the good work that we've done. Going back to the home page, we also want to make a duplicate of this page. Same principle. We want to be able to reference this page just to make sure visually, quick reference that everything looks fine. Okay. The difference with this page is we want to add a /, no cache to the end of the URL. What this does is bypasses the cache, just gives you a raw look of the uncached website. That ensures that you're going to see anything that you've broken using Perfmatters. Okay, you can put anything in here. It doesn't have to say no cache. It can be I don't want cache or don't cache me. It's just words. But the / is the important part. Looking at the back end again, we've got some heavy hitters like BuddyPress, Elementor Pro, WooCommerce, of course, with MyListing sites, WooCommerce subscriptions, Yowzer, and a couple Yowzer extensions. So there's some heavy hitters in here. This will be a good site to test with. We've got Perfmatters installed, so we're going to go ahead and activate that. All right, we're going to go into the settings of Perfmatters. And here we have our base settings. Pretty much anything in the options tab I call the base settings. It's all covered in the guide that I mentioned before, so I'm not going to go over what all these settings are. Got to get the guide to get that, and it's not just to try to sell you the guide, but it would take forever to sit here and explain what everything in here is. So we're gonna do what we know is the right thing, because we've seen hundreds of sites and done this for hundreds of sites. We know it works, what doesn't. We will highlight a few as we go along. Emojis. If the website doesn't use emojis, this is a no-brainer. Just disable it. If you're doing this work for a client, then just poke around. Do you see any emojis anywhere? And worst case scenario, ask the website owner, do you see emojis or do you use emojis? So just moving on down through here. This is a good one. Disable RSS feeds. If they have an active blog, you do not want to touch this, either of the RSS feeds. It appears on buddyplayer.com that they do anticipate having a blog, but they don't really do anything with it now. So because David will probably watch this, I will let him toggle this back off if he wants, but we're gonna disable this for now. Google Maps, it's a pretty no-brainer when there. If you use the Google Maps services for MyListing, you can't touch this, obviously. If you happen to use Mapbox, you still might not be able to turn this off because you might have a Google Maps widget somewhere. So just make sure you're not using Google Maps anywhere. But this is a great one to turn off if you can. Buddy Player is using is using Google Maps, so we're going to leave this untouched. Buddy Player is also using Google Fonts, we know, so we're not going to touch that. The password strength meter, we need to see. We'll go in here and we'll see. They are not automatically generating a password. So that means that the password strength meter is needed. So we're going to close this. We are not going to touch the password strength meter. We are going to leave that. Comments, that impacts a lot of things on a MyListing site, such as reviews and things of that nature. It's just not worth it to turn that off here. So we're gonna not touch those. Disable heartbeat. This is a good one. Again, not going to explain all of this. It's all in the guide. This is an interesting one. It's great for keeping the bots out, and since they won't know what your URL is for logging in, and security and whatnot. We're not going to touch this one. David can if he wants. Since this has nothing to do with the optimization of this particular test today, we're just going to leave that as is. Okay, save our changes. Okay. Now, next section is lazy loading. We use ShortPixel for this. And I believe David is using that as well. Yeah, so we use ShortPixel adaptive images for this. Again, gotta, free videos, gotta do promotions, right? Again, in here in the club, these are actually free. We've got a guide on ShortPixel. We've got a guide on image optimization in there if you do a search for that. Under our deals, we've got a bonus credit deal for ShortPixel. This can get confusing, so I'll just take this opportunity to run through this. It's basically saying you buy this plan, this is how many bonus credits you get. Buy this plan, this is how many bonus credits you get. By using the bonus credits that come with the club, you could essentially make it so you buy a far cheaper plan than you normally would, and you cover all your images for far less money. So again, even if you sign up for the club, get the cheapest membership, get this deal, and get out if you want. It's just a no-brainer if you want to use ShortPixel AI. So let's close that. So we're not going to touch this stuff for now. This is, this is more advanced. Might circle back, but probably just leave this for now and just let ShortPixel do its thing. WooCommerce, this is a good one. Typically you can disable this one and this one. And it's in the guide why that is, why, what we found. So we're going to save our changes there. CDN tab, because Buddy Player, I believe, uses, let me just verify that. Okay, so they don't use, okay, I thought they had. Okay, yeah, he's Cloudflare, I am pretty sure. Let me find out in my other tab here. Okay, so Cloudflare is used in this case. So when Cloudflare is in use, it is a CDN, but it is not what they call a true CDN. So you don't really need this section if you have Cloudflare. If you have Kinsta's, key CDN, for example, then this section is used. So because Cloudflare is in play, you don't even need this section. We're going to skip over that. Google Analytics, this is good to use, but don't know his situation as far as Google Analytics. Looking down through his plugins, I'm not seeing anything that has to do with Google Analytics. Yeah, I'm not seeing, he might not even be doing Google Analytics. So I have to check in with him on that. So we're going to skip that one too. But basically what this does is it loads it locally. So it saves an external HTTP call. And actually that's great. That just reminded me. So let's check the waterfall. We should see a call to Google Analytics in here if it's being used. Let's try to break that up. No, it's not being used. Looks like there's some ads going on. Fonts. Okay. So this section is not important for this site. Doesn't even appear to be using Google Analytics. That's fine. So we'll go over to the Extras tab, and this is where all the big time magic happens in here. This plugin can actually help you eliminate other plugins. For example, there's one that just allows you to do nothing more than to input scripts into the header or footer. I don't think that is in here. Nope. But I've often been able to get rid of that plugin for clients and some others just by moving the code into these sections. Not seeing any of that here, so we can skip that in this section. This is the biggie here, Script Manager. We want to turn that on. What this allows us to do is to go page by page and turn off CSS and JavaScript that is loading on a page but is not needed. Perfect example of this is Contact Form 7. It loads on every page of a MyListing site, even if there's not a form. Script Manager allows you to turn that off and only show it on like single listings, or if you do have a contact form somewhere else on your website. That's the magic of this plugin. Okay, so we want to turn that on to start. Okay, we saved our settings. Now let's go to the home page and let's do the fun stuff. Go to our home page here, and now you see a script manager option. So we're going to run that. Here we go. So this is everything that's loading on the page in a nice, pretty layout. It's much better than inspecting a page and whatnot. So this is all the stuff we're going to look at. Basically at the top here, if you toggle this on or off, that's the whole plugin goes off. These are the individual CSS and JS underneath that plugin. And then when you toggle something, you have all these other options. This is all in the guide. Today, what we'll be just doing is current URL, just to be safe, because that's what we're testing anyway. So one example might be, let's say you've dialed in your Explore page config, and you've got 5 Explore pages. You could take this. You figured out that you don't want BuddyPress on any Explore pages. You could simply put this in the regex, and that says anytime that the word Explore appears in the somewhere in the URL, let's apply this optimization, the script manager setting. Obviously, everywhere, it's going to kill it everywhere on your website. Super powerful. Let's say you do that, but then, oh no, I want that to work in my listings. This is going to say, let's exclude listings. So exclusions or exceptions, listings. You can also do regex here. Let's do it. Let's kill it everywhere but our Explore pages. Okay. That's what all that means. So, but today we're just going to focus on current URL if we kill it at all. Okay, so let's just run through this. The first one up is BuddyPress. I'm going to go with off the top of my gut here and say I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything BuddyPress related here, other than maybe. No, it looks like we'll be fine. So you don't even have to ask yourself that question if you really don't want to. You can just get to work. So what happens if we turn off BuddyPress for this whole homepage? What happens? Okay, we saved our settings. We turned off BuddyPress. Let's refresh our homepage. Okay, search works, all this works, menu works, great. Yeah, that all looks good. All looks good. All looks good. All looks good. Bam. I mean, if we toggle that back on, we just whacked off 2 scripts. They're pretty small. I mean, these are small, but they're still scripts. And not much CSS, but it all adds up. That's cool. So we can keep that disabled. Elementor Pro. So another cool thing you can do here is, let's pull up our page again. So if you're not sure, just edit it with Elementor. And if you're the website owner, you probably know off the top of your head, but if you're doing this for a client, you may have to do some investigation. So pull this up. Anything with 27 and collective is not Elementor Pro. So buttons not pro, text not pro, text, heading. You got a media carousel. So if we do a search for carousel, yeah, that's free. Or not pro, in other words. got accordions. Those are free. Looks like we got a video. It's also an Elementor free. All right, so it looks like we're not using Elementor Pro at all on the home page. The menu is all my listing out of the box. All right, let's give it a go. Let's kill all of Elementor. And as you see here, big script. That one's huge. CSS, that's huge. Let's see what we get. Save our changes, refresh our page. Okay, everything looks good so far. Bam, found an issue. We can't kill Elementor Pro completely. Must have missed something back there. So let's turn Elementor Pro back on. I'm gonna go with, it's probably this is okay to kill and this is okay to kill. Refresh our page. Nope, something else. Another thing you can do is you can inspect, always have the inspector open, Chrome. And if you see errors up in here, it'll display errors. You know you've probably disabled something you shouldn't. It's a good indicator. Let's just bring this down here. Okay, so let's go back. Let's just try sticky. See if that was the only one that can be disabled here. All right, that was it. So on this one, we can only kill sticky. So now we're on Elementor. Off the top of my head, let's see. You know, these can typically go, so we're going to make those changes. Test. All right, all looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Let's go back to our script manager here. We don't need this anymore. I don't think. We'll leave it open. Let's see. I'm just pulling up my one of my sites here to see, one of the starter sites, to see what I did for the home page for reference. Okay, let's see. Backbone marionette. Both backbones can go. Dialogue can go. Font Awesome 4 can go. Share link. Swiper. All right, so those are those. Go through. All right, let's start with these. Save our changes. Refresh the page. All looks good. All right, something changed here. Yep, something definitely changed here. The color of these, and like some of the CSS, and then everything under here. Okay, so we go back. I think that's the culprit. We'll find out. No. All right, so we see up here we have an error. So let's see what that error is. Child module trigger prototype. Interesting. Doesn't really tell us. Usually it tells us, but it doesn't tell. Oh, front end. So you see here the front end to front end. So if we see that, let's just go back. Let's take all these out. Sometimes you got to do this. Sometimes you got to just toggle two at a time, or even one at a time, and just trial and error. Figure out what combo works. We see that our errors went away and everything's back to the way it was. Okay, so let's go back through this again. I'm going to fall silent for a bit here just to get us back to where I'll fall silent here until I get us back out of this particular section. Just follow along in the what I turn off. Okay, coming back online here, we got through that little gauntlet. So now the thing is icons. These can be a little bit tricky because they can be all over the place depending on the page. So we'll just take a quick look here. So I have any icons in the menu. I have an icon here, icons all over there. All right, so we've got a good amount to test here. So I would say just go one at a time, couple at a time, and just do same as we have been, one at a time, two at a time, and just test. Okay, everything looks good. Let's go on down. Let's just do one at a time going here on out. Good, those are good. Still got that, still got those, that. Good, so far so good. Those are good. As a reminder, again, keep checking for errors. We don't see any errors. There's one information, but that's fine. There's no errors. That's another good indicator. Everything is here. Yep. Scroll to the top, icon, footer icons. Everything's there. All right. Keep on going. Everything looks good. Scroll down. Everything looks good. Yep. Okay. Everything looks good. All right. Still good. There we go. Got some issues. All right, simple. Can't turn that off. Okay, moving on. MailChimp for WooCommerce. This kicks in the cart or checkout process. Definitely do not need that here. This is the Clubs plugin. If anyone's not familiar, do another shameless plug. This is our duplicate listings plugin. In short, you can duplicate listings from the front end. So any of your customers, let's say they have 10 coffee shops, instead of creating those listings each time from scratch, they basically duplicate it, change the address, maybe some photos, that kind of thing, and off they go. So that is not needed here. So we will kill that. And in the guide, we actually tell you like what you really can set for this to really optimize it. It's really not needed anywhere except for the listings. So we can remove that. So that's good. Don't want to touch ShortPixel. Just let that go. And the reason you might think, oh, I can kill this stuff. And you can. But the thing is, it actually doesn't load until it's needed. It looks like it does, but it doesn't. I reached out to the team, the ShortPixel team, to get confirmation on that. And it basically said, you can just leave that stuff alone. So that's good. WooCommerce. Why is it loading on the home page? Probably doesn't need to be. That said, sometimes it can break stuff. I'm going to pull up my starter site here and see what we've done. I believe the whole thing goes away, but get clarification on that. Yep, WooCommerce, the whole thing goes away. Big script here, or big CSS file here. Some smaller scripts. All right, so let's kill that. I think that's enough for us to go do a test. So far, so good. Crazy. Like, first thought, you're like, there's no way in hell I can kill WooCommerce on any pages. How's a MyListing site going to work? Well, truth is, it's not needed very much. So there we go. Don't need WooCommerce on the home page. I don't even think I have anything in the cart. Well, actually, let's be 100% sure about this. Maybe there's something unique to this site, because it does look like I have something in the cart. No. Well, this is a good spot to show you another thing. So I think this might be an issue with the website itself. Let's just leave WooCommerce the way it is. This is a good test. To troubleshoot down the road if you have an issue, the first thing you want to do is turn off Script Manager. So let's turn off Script Manager. That way you still have the optimizations that you've done throughout the Perfmatters plugin, and you won't lose that while your visitors are still on your site. But I mean, technically you probably shouldn't be doing this on your live site anyway, but let's say you are. Rather than turn the whole thing off, let's just turn off Script Manager and test that first. So we did that. Let's see if that was causing this issue. And it's not. Okay. So the next step, we can turn Script Manager back on. Sorry, I don't know if it's my connection or the website, but it's taking a little bit to save. Told you this would be unrehearsed, and it's definitely unrehearsed. All right, so settings finally saved. Let's go back to our plugins. Let's just kill Perfmatters altogether. That's the next step in the troubleshooting process. Remember, we have cache turned off already on this page. So we just refresh this page. Okay. So it was something with Perfmatters. So I'm glad we actually ran across that. All right, let's turn Perfmatters back on and just verify that that issue comes back again. And it's back. So this is why when somebody that does WordPress support wants to charge you 2 hours of time to do this stuff, this is why, because there are just so many moving parts. It takes so much time. I'm not trying to sell that, but it's just the reality of things. Let's go back in here. All right, let's find anything that has to do with WooCommerce. Remember, we turned a couple things off here. Let's just kill both of these. Test again. Okay, that was easy enough. So my guess is that it's going to be, oops. Anyway, that shows you how you can get a quick glimpse of the documentation. All right, so we pretty much know that the issue is with the widgets. All right, there we go. Okay, so moving on, let's just reload our script manager for the home page. Just take another look at this stuff. Okay, let's try killing WooCommerce again on this entire page. Yeah, all right, it does not like that. Huh. All right, let's go back. Let's first do everything except for anything that has to do with cart. Okay, yeah, we have errors. Okay, so it's calling for, it's a rocket loader, so that must be on Cloudflare. Let me go jump over to Cloudflare real quick. Just a second. Okay, so I'm over on the Cloudflare side now, and I'm just going to take a look and see what David has going on over there. Let's see here. Rocket Loader is known to cause issues with Elementor and just sites in general, so I'm going to turn that off for him. All right, then we're going to refresh this page after we clear his cache. All right, so what I've done is I've killed Rocket Loader and I've cleared his Cloudflare cache. Now let's reload. Okay, still not loading, but our error has changed. As you can see, Rocket Loader is no longer mentioned in here. I've got a cart fragments mention. All right. So let's go back. We'll do this the long way. It's no problem. It's just takes a little bit more time. So let's just do it one at a time. But you get the idea. I mean, you can stick around for the whole video, especially when we hit the Explore page. You can see what we do there. It's all the same. It's all the same concept, just a different page. But obviously, would love to have you stick around if you want to stick around. But especially to see the end result. That's the payoff, right? All right, just keep working through it. And all we're looking at here is the cart. That's pretty much the only thing on this page that's going to break at this point. Typically, if you turn off all of WooCommerce, that's going to potentially cause issues throughout the whole page. But since we're only seeing issues with the cart, and that's mainly what we just need to focus on here. So I think it's going to be safe to assume all of these can go away. We'll find out here. All right, looks good. All right, so we're done with WooCommerce on this page. Moving on down, as we said before, BuddyPress wasn't even doing anything on this page, completely disabled. So in turn, we don't need this, or this. We can just go ahead and test it before we go on. Mainly it's going to be in the menu if there's an issue anywhere with the Yowzer piece. Oh, actually I'm seeing some icons break now. That's interesting. I don't think that would be Yowzer. Wow, that is interesting. Huh. Something in Yowzer breaks the icons. All right, let's go. Okay, so far so good. What do you want to bet? It's this one. Let's just see if that's what it is. Yep. Interesting. All right, that was it. That's crazy. Okay. Everything looks good. All right, moving on down. Auto terms, that's a plugin to do like legal pages. Should not be needed on this page. And that's also CSS. So that would definitely not be needed on this page. Kill that. Now with MyListing, this can be a bit tricky. There are no maps on this page. However, it is, for some reason, it hooks into other things and can break it. So let's just see what we got here. Okay, so we're good there. Don't mess with this. I don't mess with this too much. It's mainly just the maps, the two. But you know, you can by all means go as granular as you go and see what you break. But I believe in all my testing, this is all that we could do. For fun, that's gonna break for sure. Let's just try this is a big CSS file. It's just for fun. Give this a go. Yeah, see that line over here on the far left? You just really, I don't think you really just can't touch much underneath this. You can actually kill this child theme CSS. Doesn't really do anything. One thing I think of is if you are, adding your style sheets that way, you might want to look at that potentially. Most people, I would say, add their CSS right to the theme options. Yeah. So, but if you do something with your child theme, then this may not be an option for you as far as like where you put your CS in the child theme. Admin bar, I know is touchy with Buddy Player or Buddy Press, so we're just going to leave that alone for this site. Let's go through some others here. They're normally okay. Sorry, I'm falling silent, but I'm just referencing my other starter site here to what I know typically works. We can try Google Maps here and see. Sometimes this will break things, even if, like I said, if there's no map on the page. We don't need the block library since that's Gutenberg. And it's pretty much it. I find once you get outside this last block library entry, everything down below breaks stuff. So we'll save that. See what we got. All right, we've got errors. Nothing too telling. Front end. I don't think we touched the front end stuff. Maybe we did. Okay, so we've got too many here to figure out. Let me let's try Google Maps. That's usually a culprit. All right, we've got too many things, so let's just back out. And do them one by one again here. Start with those two actually. And then, again, every site's different. This is why there's no one size fits all config. You've got to do the work. All right, no errors. Everything looks good. Comment reply. I'm not sure what that would be on this page. Not sure what this is either. Let's try those two. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that those things would be used for. Direct messaging might be turned on. It's not. Okay, so that's probably why it's loaded but not needed. Let's see what else. Moment should be able to go. Not sure what this is either. Off the top of my head, let's try these two. All right, we've got errors. Doesn't really tell us what it is. Okay, let's just try this one. Okay, so that was the culprit. Everything still looks good. All right, this should be able to go. This should be able to go. Yep. Okay, what's next? Core UI should be able to go and draggable. The other thing I'll say too, that looks good. The other thing I'll say too is once you get this done for the homepage, pretty much will work for all of your non-MyListing pages inside your website. It just depends what plugins you have and whatnot, but typically this could be used over and over again, if for nothing else than a baseline to get you started with and work from there. All right, so let's see what else we got. Draggable. Mouse should be good to go. Position should be good. All right, we see mouse specifically mentioned in here, so that's an issue. Take that back off. There we go. All looks good. Sortable and widget. All right. Does not mentions widget, doesn't like that. So let's try just taking that one off. All right. So that's good. Should be able to take off underscore. Yeah, underscore. And we'll test that. All good. Let's see if Google Maps screams at us here. Nope, looks good. I think this can go. The SPAI Sniper, that is one of the ShortPixel scripts, so that should stay. All right, that's good. Okay, we're gonna leave admin bar. Should be able to get rid of both of these, and that should be it on this page. All right, that's it. Everything looks good. Menu works, search works, all our icons are there. Slider works. Okay. So now we're done with the home page. We can close her up. And let's run our tests. I'm gonna run these 3 times back to back. Okay, there we go. So we see that we've made some great improvements. We dropped our requests almost in half, which we were going for 80. We've got that down to 87. We were shooting for 1.5 meg page weight. We got down pretty close to it. Our fully loaded time also dropped by almost a second. So let's see, if we look at our timings tab, 1.76 milliseconds. Our time to first byte dropped significantly. Let's see over here, our DOM, which is where most of our content loads for the user, just under 2 seconds. Over here, it dropped 2 milliseconds, so another improvement. Looking at the waterfall, the sorting now is a little, I got it all out of whack here, but anyway, if you recall, you can go back in the video, but you recall this was kind of the top right here. We had this long wait, this long wait, this sort of long wait. It's kind of what the top of the file kind of looked like that. But now this is how the top looks. It's super clean. Super clean all the way down. Anyway, that's more how your waterfall should look. Okay. Again, not as important looking at the scores and stuff. As you can see, there were some improvements, C and B, if that's important to you. So a slight improvement there. The Y slow no longer has any red in it. So big improvements there. So as you can see, pretty good size improvements. Not a ton of work. You probably can get even more granular if you want to try to knock this stuff down. But this site does have a good amount of plugins, but I mean, I've seen them with double this. So you can imagine how Perfmatters really, really can shine. Like when there's just so much that loads on a page. Like for example, this doesn't even have contact form 7 on it because we replaced that with Elementor Pro forms. That's just one example what your site could have that this one doesn't. So that's it for the home page. Let's go ahead and shut this down. We're going to go ahead and leave this one, but we're going to open GTmetrix again. We're going to go to the Explore page. Okay, so we've got our main Explore page here. We're just going to go through the same process again. We're going to run our baseline, change our server to the region. So we want to test from the London server. Let's go ahead and run that a couple times. Pull up another one here pull up duplicate tab of the Explore page just so we have that visual comparison again. All right, run this test one more time so that the caching kicks in. Now, what you want to do with your Explore pages, you don't want these to be in cache. You don't want these pages cached. So what we've done here with Kinsta is we've told them not to cache this Explore page. It's highly dynamic. There's no good in caching it. No good can come from it. So we just exclude it. And you just ring up Kinsta support, say, hey, exclude this URL, and they take care of it. So that's what we did here. Because of that, there will be no need to put, the / no cache to bypass the cache. We can't. It won't hurt. It won't change anything, but don't really need that here. Okay, so we've got our Explore page, baseline, tab. This is where we're gonna see what breaks. We've got our baseline. Let's open another tab so we can test our improvements at the very end of this. Move this over here. Okay, so same deal. Let's pull up the Explore page in Script Manager. Let's also pull up the home page in Script Manager. Now, almost with 100% certainty that if you were able to disable this on a non-Explore page, something on a non-Explore page, you can disable it on an Explore page. It's almost a given every time. Not every time, but almost. And you may also notice that these icons up here are broken, the admin bar. That is because most likely dash icons were disabled somewhere for that particular page, or globally. Yeah, there it is, dash icons. So if these icons matter to you, you can kill this. But to me it's worth it to kill it. But because it's not my website, we'll just turn this back on. Let David make that call. There you go. Now you see that the icons are back here. Okay. Okay, so let's do a comparison here. You don't need BuddyPress on an Explore page. We know that Explore pages are built with straight up Elementor, so we can kill this. If you have a site like one of our starter sites where the menu is all built with Elementor Pro, even though the Explore page itself is not built with it, you got to consider things like the footer, the menus, pop-ups, all that sort of thing. So we'll stop right here and we'll just see where we're at. So we killed BuddyPress and Elementor Pro. Okay, all looks good, menu looks good. All right, we see we have an issue here. So let's figure out what caused it. Let's first kill, let's turn Elementor Pro back on. So always exceptions, always exceptions. All right, so that was it. So let's figure out what in Elementor caused it. Usually, if there's an issue, this is the only one that's safe to disable. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So all is good there. Let's go back here and let's use our same Elementor settings. So we're going to kill everyone but the front end modules. Leave front end, Marionette. All right, let's just pause there and see what we've got. Should be okay, but just be sure. Yeah, all looks good. Drop downs still work. Footer looks good. Yep, all looks good. Okay, everything looks good with that next batch settings. So let's keep going. All of the icons except for Font Awesome 4. Okay, everything looks good. Let's inspect the page again just to be sure there's no errors. Okay, no errors. Again, don't need MailChimp for an Explore page. Let's kill that. Don't need duplicate listings plugin for this page. We leave ShortPixel alone. Same WooCommerce settings are going to apply here, so we want to skip the cart and the cookie and disable everything else. Now, a lot of times this select to can cause an issue with drop downs. So we will find out if that's the case here. No errors. Everything looks good. Drop downs are broke. That's almost always this one, select to. There we go. Okay, everything looks good. Keep going here. Don't need Yowzer on an Explore page. This icons might be an issue again. Let's find out. lost our social media icons at some point. Okay, so let's go back. I don't think it's this one. It is. That Yowzer icons thing again. That is so weird. Okay. So we can kill everything except for the Yowzer icons. There we go. That was it. Okay. Sometimes it's better not to ask and just move on. Again, we don't need anything to do with the legal pages on an Explore page. We'll remove those. Treading lightly on the MyListing stuff. We can't kill the maps because he's got maps. So really nothing we can touch on that, which is fine. We can kill the child CSS, no problem. And then all of this stuff should apply. So skip the admin bar and moment. We're going to skip core and mouse. Skip slider and widget. We're going to skip sniper and admin bar. All right, that should be it. Save. Ton of errors. Just looking at the errors and looking for something that's okay. So we see sortable is mentioned. All right, so let's just start with that one. Sortable, custom select, sortable. Huh. All right, let's go back. Oh, that's my fault. Cool. All right, so that was that. Shouldn't have a slider on this page, so let's kill that. Okay, yeah, that's gone. Okay, cool. All right, so everything looks good. I'm just gonna do a quick over on this. Don't touch those. Don't touch that. Don't touch, don't touch, don't touch. Okay, this looks good. Let's see what we were able to do. So we've got our baseline here, and we'll run this 3 times to see what our results are. Again, not that this is page is cached. I'm pretty sure it's being excluded from cache. 99% sure, but just running it anyway, just so everyone gets in the habit of running it 3 times. But if your Explorer page is excluded from cache, you don't necessarily need to run the test back to back 3 times. Anyway, let's see what our results are here. So if we look at our timings, 0.7 seconds time to first byte. That improved slightly. All of our content was loading in 3.2 seconds before. It's loading in 2.7 now. So not crazy differences, but it is an improvement for having so much little stuff on an Explorer page. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of room for improvement on this particular site, but still improved. Looking at the waterfall, we see a couple potential issues here. Looking at the new waterfall, yeah, things are cleaner. The other thing too is just because you don't see these crazy speed results, the other thing is every time you add a plugin, you potentially introduce a conflict with another plugin. So the more that you can reduce, the better. You know, get that CSS and JS out of the way so it doesn't have a potential conflict with another plugin. But ideally, when you bring new plugins on board, you're going to run it through. One of the first things you should do after is run your pages again through, Script Manager. Strip that stuff out. It's just a constant. It's a constant thing. It's not a one-time set and forget it. You got to keep up with it, but the payoffs are huge, in my opinion. This is a big one. The request really dropped. That's pretty cool. Page weight dropped a bit. Again, not really paying attention to the scores, but if we look at the page speed tab, things went from a 0 and a C to a 16 and a C, so a slight improvement. The Y slow tab, we got 3 Fs and an E, so that improved over here. So slight improvements all around. Nothing too crazy on the Explorer page, but like I said, if this site had twice as many plugins as it does, like I've seen on a lot of sites, then the changes on this particular page would have been dramatic. But every little bit counts, every little bit helps. So that's really the meat and potatoes of that. Now, a new feature that was introduced recently is deferring the JavaScript. Now, we can turn this on and test right now and see what we get. Again, this is more of a site-wide thing, so it's a little tricky here. This not being my site, you got to spend, you got to have more intimate knowledge of the site, really. So this is where, if it's not your site and you're doing this for clients, like the client has to know that this takes a lot of time because you really got to dig into their site and see if you're breaking anything. So we'll just turn those two on to test. All right, so let's make another tab for the home page. So we've got our initial baseline, we've got our optimized baseline from Perfmatters. Now we just made another settings change, so let's see what difference this makes. This we will run 3 times because caching is in play on this page. So what we're doing here is we are seeing what is the improvement just by turning this on. Is there an improvement? If it's negligible, if it's not even worth it at this time, let's just, let's consider just turning it off. But again, we're only testing the home page here. So you've got to take the time to test all of your critical pages, whether that's 3 pages, 5 pages, 20 pages. Test those critical pages and see. So in this case, we see, nothing really, it actually may have gotten worse. So let's just run this one more time. But as we see, there's just flipping that on did nothing for our homepage. It's not to say that it won't do something for other pages. But as far as our homepage goes, so far there's no reason to turn this on. Okay, slight drop in page weight. And looking at our waterfall, it just doesn't look, it's just nothing really there. So let's check our Explore page. Let's create another tab for our Explore page. So again, we've got, before we started the work, our baseline after Perfmatters initially. Now we're doing more tests. So let's run this, just run this one time since there's no caching involved in this page. Okay, so see what I mean? We got a higher score, but let's see. I don't think anything really changed. Time to first byte of 0.6 second, so 0.6 and 2.7. Time to first byte went up. DOM dropped a little bit, so it's negligible. But again, those two things, does that really warrant jumping up 8 points? That's just why scores don't really matter. Looking at the waterfall, they look almost identical. So in this particular case, I'm just going to turn those back off. It's a newer setting. WP Rocket also has these. It's negligible. Let's keep those off. Let's not even look to see if anything's broken. Let's just turn it off. We don't even want to go down that route. So we turn them off. We know nothing's broken because we're not enabling them. Save changes. Preloading. This is also a new feature. It's Perfmatters and WP Rocket seem to be like going head to head. Seems to be trending that way. This is a feature that's in both. This is also a newer feature. This actually I know works, so we're going to flip this on. You're not going to see any changes in speed tests. That's not what it's for. It's straight user experience. So basically what this means is, so say I hover over this card, or I hover over this button, or I hover over this menu item, or anything that I hover over that has a link. It's basically saying, Perfmatters is saying, hey, this guy intends to visit this coach's page. Let's start, caching those assets. Let's start loading those assets in the background. So when he clicks on coaches, it's instantaneous. Now, the instantaneous can depend on the optimization of the page. I have no idea what is going on with this coach's page until I got in. Again, Perfmatters, go in here, kill everything. But even with instant page turned on, it's only as fast as the underlying pages that you're going to link to. So, let's find another one. Get started. Oh, that's just a card. Okay. Let's try menu item. Quick guide. Yeah, see, pretty quick. Welcome. Yeah, see, there's lots of stuff going on here. It's just unless you start digging in. But anyway, that's a safe setting. It's not going to break anything. It works awesome. And you can click on this little to get an explanation of what it does and whatnot. Database. This website doesn't use any kind of tool to optimize the database like WP Rocket, for example. So we're going to turn those on here. And we're going to toggle everything on. And we're going to schedule this on a weekly basis. Okay, save the changes. Optimize now. Up here, you're going to see that the optimization is running in the background. So we'll just let it do it. Let us do its thing for a minute. And while that's doing that, over in the tools section, if you want to ever uninstall Perfmatters, check this box, uninstall it. It's going to remove all of your settings. If you have multiple sites or you have client sites and you want to bring in your baseline, you can export the plugin settings and bring them in on the other side. Just be very careful with that because it's going to bring everything over. So keep that in mind. All right, optimization is still running in the background. I think if there's anything else I can show you while that's running, I think we covered it all. All right, so optimization completed. Let's go back to that page and look at that. There we go. And we can probably run it one more time and it'll probably clear out those other 24 transients. Basically what this is doing is just clearing out all the stale stuff from your database that's no longer needed. All right, I got it down to 22. That's fine. Transients don't really hurt anything. They can actually speed queries up. If transients aren't there that the system is looking for, it might just add, a negligible amount of extra time to pull in data. It's very minimal, but so I think it's always good just to err on the side most of the time and just keeping stuff clean. So that's that. Let's just, for fun, we saw that we didn't gain much from turning on the deferring JavaScript. So let's just leave this tab to play on still. Let's just retest this page. How about the only thing we would see here is the page weight should drop. Might not be very much, but it should drop. So while this is running, again, just recap. Perfmatters is awesome for speeding up the pages by removing the JavaScript, removing CSS that's not needed on that particular page. It can eliminate plugins that do certain functions, like inserting scripts and whatnot. I've gotten rid of, I've at least 5 plugins I can think off the top of my head I was able to remove from client sites just from having Perfmatters. Perfmatters, I believe, is in a race with some others like WP Rocket, and I think pretty soon their feature set is going to be almost identical here in the very near future from the roadmap I'm seeing. I'm not saying Perfmatters is better than WP Rocket and when those features overlap, but and vice versa. What I do know is that WP Rocket is not doing the script manager stuff. At least I haven't seen it mentioned anywhere. So for that reason, Perfmatters might win in the end. Just have to wait and see. But okay, so we ran that. So as we see, this is going to fluctuate, the fully loaded time. That doesn't really matter. What we want to look at here is the page weight did drop a little bit. Okay, that was what we were going for. This stuff can all fluctuate slightly, but this, you know, it's going to be cleaned up. If you clean stuff up, it's going to be reduced, and it was. Let's just for fun see what this page did, if anything. So we were at 1.23 meg. Let's see what this does. You know, over time, especially with WooCommerce and especially with MyListing, databases get full of junk. It's just good to stay on top of it. Keep that stuff clean, keep it humming. All right, so not much change. That's fine, because there's not a whole lot to clean out from an Explore page, from a database point of view. I think that's about it for today's video. Again, be sure if you're not a member, consider signing up, getting the full Perfmatters guide, getting that discount. Ask questions in our Facebook group if you need help. But once you get in and you really start using the Perfmatters plugin, I think it really becomes second nature, and it's actually fun to kind of knock this stuff out. Maybe that's my morbid sense of fun, but that's it. Hope you found this useful, and you guys know how to reach me if you need anything. Take care. Talk to you later.